throwaway account because I don't want this linked back to me in real life, but I feel like I'm losing my mind and need some outside perspective. I, 35M, have been married to my wife, 33F, for 8 years, together for almost 12, and we used to have what I thought was a solid, boring, in a good way, relationship. Shared routines, inside jokes, movie nights on the couch, all the normal stuff. But over the past few months, she started acting off in this subtle way that I kept trying to rationalize, like suddenly locking her phone, flipping it face down whenever I walked by, and snapping at me for the smallest questions. And I told myself it was work stress, or maybe I was just being paranoid. But deep down, my gut had already started whispering that something wasn't right.
Then the little red flags started piling up so fast it was hard to ignore. She suddenly had late meetings multiple times a week, started coming home smelling like a different perfume she never wore for me, and when I tried to hug her, she'd stiffen like I was some kind of inconvenience instead of her husband. And any time I asked basic questions, she'd snap back with, "Why are you interrogating me?" or "You're so insecure lately," which felt like a punch to the stomach because I was just trying to understand what was happening to the woman I thought I knew.
The actual discovery wasn't dramatic. It was stupidly random, and somehow that made it worse. Her phone died one night, and she asked to borrow mine to check something real quick. And later, when I picked up her iPad to move it off the couch, a message popped up from a saved contact with a heart next to his name that said, "I wish you were here instead of him." And I just froze, staring at the screen like I'd been hit by a truck, trying to convince myself there was some innocent explanation when deep down I already knew there wasn't.
I didn't say anything at first because my hands were literally shaking. And instead, I started noticing everything. Hidden photo folders, deleted chat threads, weird charges on our shared card, and receipts from places she had sworn she'd never been to. And what messed me up most was how normal she acted at home while I was quietly losing my mind. Making dinner, laughing at TV shows, kissing me goodbye in the mornings like she wasn't living a secret life behind my back.
I finally confronted her on a random weekday night when the pressure in my chest felt like it was going to crush my ribs, and I asked if there was anything she wanted to tell me, just giving her a chance to be honest without blowing everything up, and she immediately got defensive, laughing in my face and saying I was acting crazy. And when I mentioned the message I saw, her expression flickered for half a second before she went full attack mode, accusing me of invading her privacy and being controlling instead of just answering the question.
That's when the lies started coming out so fast I could barely keep up. First it was, "You're imagining things." Then it was, "He's just a coworker." Then it turned into, "Okay, maybe we flirted a little, but it meant nothing." And somehow, in her version of reality, this all circled back to being my fault because I wasn't present enough or didn't make her feel wanted. And the way she said it, so cold and annoyed, made me feel like I was the one on trial instead of the person who just found out his life was a lie.
After the fight, the house felt dead quiet in the worst way, like all the air had been sucked out of it. And I just sat there staring at the wall while she casually scrolled through her phone like none of it mattered. And that was the moment it really started to hit me. The anger, the humiliation, the heartbreak all slamming into me at once. And I felt so stupid for every time I defended her, for every time I trusted her without question. The next few days felt surreal, like I was walking through fog, and suddenly everything in our house felt fake. The photos on the walls, the bed we shared, even the stupid little routines like morning coffee. And she somehow managed to be both normal and incredibly nasty at the same time, rolling her eyes when I looked tired, telling me I needed to get over it already, and acting like my pain was an inconvenience she didn't have time for.
while still changing her story every time I tried to get a straight answer.
I started sleeping on the couch because lying next to her made my skin crawl, and every tiny noise she made, laughing at her phone, typing, even just walking around, felt like nails in my brain. And I caught myself checking timestamps, locations, anything that might make the truth make sense. Well, she kept gaslighting me, telling me I was paranoid, dramatic, obsessed, like she could twist reality enough to make me feel guilty for being hurt.
Eventually, something in me just snapped. Not like an explosion, more like a cold, quiet break. And I realized I couldn't live like this, constantly doubting, constantly hurting, constantly being lied to. So one night I told her I needed space and that I was thinking about separation. And she lost it, shouting that I was throwing everything away, calling me selfish and cold, and somehow still refusing to admit what she'd actually done.
After I said the word separation, she switched tactics completely and started playing both sides, crying one minute, telling me she loved me and that I was overreacting the next. And it was so emotionally exhausting that I felt like I was being dragged back and forth by a rope around my chest. And I started realizing that I wasn't just heartbroken, I was mentally worn down from months of lies and manipulation.
The real turning point came when she went out with friends one night and didn't come home at all. And when she finally texted the next morning saying she fell asleep at a friend's place, I checked her location history and saw she'd been at the exact same address that kept showing up on those weird receipts. And for the first time, I didn't feel angry or shocked. I just felt completely empty, like something inside me had quietly died. I packed a bag without even thinking it through, just moving on autopilot. And when she saw what I was doing, she suddenly flipped back to being cruel, calling me dramatic, weak, pathetic for running away instead of fixing things. And weirdly enough, that cruelty helped clear my head because I finally saw her for who she really was in that moment. I moved in with a friend temporarily, and the silence there felt heavy, but honest, not the fake peace we had at home. And over time, I started sleeping better, thinking clearer, realizing how much of myself I'd lost trying to make our marriage work while she was quietly burning it down from the inside. And I started to feel something I hadn't felt in months: control. Now looking back, I don't feel thankful for what happened, but I do feel wiser. And I've learned that love without respect isn't love at all, that your gut usually knows the truth before your heart is ready to accept it. And if anyone reading this is going through something similar, please don't let someone convince you that your pain is an overreaction. You deserve honesty, peace, and a life where you don't have to beg for basic respect.